Welcome to another edition of Coffee with the Goose, where we talk about things that are, interesting, fascinating, irritating. I'm the Goose. So glad you joined me again. Got some interesting stuff to talk about this time around. We'll put boxing on hold. We'll even put politics on hold for now, although this next show can be a little bit political. We'll get into it in a second. But first, we start like we always do with our good, strong coffee. My coffee, as you know, very strong. Just like my opinion, and I got some creamer in there to make it sweet, just like me. There we go. Had a friend ask me recently, a Filipino friend, gee, I want to go back. Do you have any advice with the coronavirus? Yes. The advice I want to give you is don't be afraid. It seems the narrative you hear in the media is be afraid, it's all coming to an end, we're all going to die. Relax, okay? It's believe it or not, it's no worse than your yearly breakout of the flu as far as numbers of deaths. Here are the latest numbers we have. Of course, China, the Wuhan province or the Wuhan area is the source of the coronavirus. And forgive me while I wipe my nose. It is Minnesota. It is the winter. Sorry about that. Anyhow, no coronavirus here, though. The source of the coronavirus is China. And unfortunately, they do not have the medical facilities that we have in the United States or the Western world. Yeah, they got plenty of nuclear weapons, but they don't have the hospitals. They don't have the medical care. They don't have the, thank you, sir. Jude, my trusty partner and editor and the brains behind the operation. He's trained medically, I'm sure. Anyhow, why did it start? What's the source of it aside from the location in China? You know, a lot of it has to do with the way they eat. Have you ever been to China? What are their what do they do to make sure everything's clean and safe? Well, not enough apparently. And a lot of their stuff is fresh from the ocean, fresh from the farm, and a lot of creepy crawly things that we're not familiar with in the West. And don't get me wrong, Chinese food is great, but from a disease control standpoint, it's not so great in China. And a lot of people say this is the source of the coronavirus. The vast, overwhelming majority of those infected by the virus are in China. The last overall number we have is 77,000 and some in China. The number of deaths over 2,600. And then when you look at other countries, the numbers go down dramatically. Mostly because almost every other country has said, nope, hold up. We don't want you coming over here for 2 weeks. And it's not just the big bad United States. You're so mean, Trump. Well, no, he's not. He's protecting his population just like every other country is in halting or slowing down the visits by Chinese nationals, that is Chinese natives, for 2 weeks. So anyhow, that's the latest numbers. Unfortunately, there's one very sad story, and that's that Princess cruise ship that's located now docked outside of Japan, and they have over 500 coronavirus victims on that ship alone. No deaths that I know of. 14 of those are American citizens, and 80 are from the Philippines. Okay, and they're just holding tight. Nobody wants them to come to their country. As I said, it's not the fact that you're heartless or you don't like these people, you don't want to help them. You have to, part of disease control is containment. That's the first and most important step you need to take as a society is contain the virus or the illness. And the second, of course, is, if you, what's the other phrase that I'm looking for? Starts with an E. See, sometimes my vocabulary escapes me. But you control it and you contain it, and that way it doesn't spread more than possible to contain. Okay. Anyhow, the other numbers I have, 977 coronavirus cases in South Korea, a total of 11 deaths. 326 in Italy, 11 deaths there. Ironically, the other high total of deaths is in Iran. They have 16 coronavirus deaths in Iran. And then the only other country with more than one is Hong Kong. So there you have it. Every other country that has been struck by the coronavirus has one death at the max. And Philippines is included. They've had 3 cases in the Philippines and 1 death. Of course, this Diamond Princess cruise ship has 80 Filipinos, but they're not in the country at the time. So those are the latest numbers. And again, how do we react to this news, this fear? Should we be afraid? Should we be careful? No, and yes, of course, be careful. Use common sense like you always do. But this whole thing reminds me of the quote by President Roosevelt in World War II. He said, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Don't allow the news to make you lose sleep at night or be afraid of everybody walking around on the streets, because it's pointless. As I said, the number of deaths and cases is about the same as you would see, actually less, with the flu every year. Who is at risk of getting the coronavirus? Well, a lot of people can get it, and the symptoms are actually similar to the cold. It's really not that serious. But those at the highest risk of getting seriously ill or dying are the same as any other virus. The sick, those with pre-existing conditions like respiratory illnesses, the elderly, and the very young. Those who are weak and have weak immune systems are at risk of suffering severely from the coronavirus or dying. Now, you want to travel? Of course, don't let it stop you from traveling. Of course, we can go to China anytime soon. Nothing personal, but that's where the virus is. But what do you do if you want to travel to other countries? Well, the same thing you would do at any other time. Just be smart. Use your common sense. First and foremost, of course, make sure your passport's all set. But do the same thing you would do at home. Wash your hands. Be clean. Wash your dishes. Make sure your kids are clean. It's the best defense you can have against the virus is just staying clean. Excuse me. It's that Minnesota cold again. I don't think it's the coronavirus. Well, we'll see. You'll hear it first here. But just take good care of yourself. And one more thing about viruses, and nobody can do anything about a virus. It's a virus. I have been seen by the best doctors in the world. I'm not going to get into details. You can do your own research there. And what do they say when you go in with a flu or a cold? It's a virus. Just got to let it run its course. That's it. There's nothing you can do. All they can do for a cold or a flu is to make you more comfortable and weather the storm. So there you go. On one hand, don't let the media, unfortunately, our government here in the United States, the Centers for Disease Control, is getting a little too antsy recently with their statements. And unfortunately, it's had a negative effect on the stock market. They're getting a little antsy too. But don't let it affect your day-to-day life. The coronavirus is not going to sneak up on you in the middle of the night and grab you. And, it's not the boogeyman, okay? You're going to be fine. Just be careful, just like you would at any other time. Wash your hands. Have a clean place to live. Make sure your kids are nice and clean at all times, too. What are the symptoms, by the way? Again, it can be a fever. It's a cough, congestion. It's just like a cold. So what do you do if you get a cold? Go to the doctor. if it lasts for more than a couple of days. But other than that, there's really not a whole heck of a lot you can do. But don't be afraid. Sometimes I think the media wants you to be afraid, whether it's politics or the environment or you name the subject. They just like to get you all, they want you to lose sleep. I don't know what their problem is, but the glass is always half full with these people. But don't let their narrative get under your skin. You and your family are going to be fine. Just take the necessary steps, just like you always would, and you'll be safe. Okay? That's it for this edition of Coffee with the Goose. Always a pleasure to chat with you, and we've had so many new subscribers. We're very excited to move forward here in 2020. Got a lot more shows to come. We're going to talk about, of course, Manny Pacquiao. We're going to talk about the mayor of Manila, Isko Moreno, bringing some young kids in front of the camera and teaching them a lesson. And our next show will be, in a few days here, we'll hear about a move that President Duterte in the Philippines made that surprised a few people. So stick with me. Got more shows to come. And again, always happy to have you join us. That's it for this edition of Coffee with the Goose. I'll talk to you again soon. Take care.